do this. Thumbs up. You see my screen? Okay. It's all right. Okay, we are talking today about OIE project planning. I am Alvaro. I'm with Sarah in this presentation, and we are from the OIE management team. Okay, what project planning? Why do we have to do a project? The most important part of doing a project is you need to construct an important IAM. The IAM is the objective. Why you want to do. It's necessary that this needs to be realistic, but not a pessimist idea. So you need to have an accomplished project that is possible for you or for your organization or for your country, wherever you are going to work. So, for example, if we have a really big project, we could say to reduce carbon emissions and environmental impact, to see measurable reduction in impact tank to your project, to gain real world experience and develop project. Okay, I need to, sorry. Pregnant skills, and then will help you in the future projects. This is then we propose for the program. Then with all the projects, the IAM, the objective of the program, with your projects, we have a big idea that needs to reduce carbon emission and environmental impact. So why is a big IAM? Because it's not for doing for myself or for just one person. Why we have a project like that? Because we could add all your projects and we could count with all of you. So if we count with all of you, the all corp or the program, the all people in the program, with little projects is a big amount of project in the final of the program. So it's important that every one of you start to make a project, a big one, little one, medium one, but everyone needs to have a good project. So what type of project we have in the program in the past? What kind of programs we expect to do for you is thinking in time and in people. So what time you are going to spend in this program and what many people you need, how many people you need. So IAM is an acronym? No, it's not an acronym. It's just I am like yes, like I am the like I am is the same. It's because with the I am you define what the project is, what is the objective of the program. Okay, so that was the question, and that is the answer. Okay, what sort of project? Time, people, you need to define well how many time you need to develop a project. So this program is have a time, a definite time. Yeah, I say time. So this program have a time. So if you need to sorry, who's playing music? Please mute your microphone. The people with music, please mute your microphone. Thank you. Okay. Again, we need to define what is the time of the project and how many people we need for the project. Why? Because in every kind of project, you need to have uh, a real clear, you need to be real clear how many people you need to work in your project. So, for example, if you have a project for 10 people and you are 2 people, you need to say, okay, one part of the process of my project is how I can add other age people. So every part of your project have an idea or have resources in time or in people that you need to add for your project. That's important. So what sort of project? We have community or youth education, habitat restoration, organic agriculture, recycling and solid waste management, weather or air pollution mitigation, research, sustainable business practice. What is all of this here? Because that are the main ideas that we propose to you to do it a project with your partners. So if you are thinking, what project I need to do for the program, these are ideas. You could use them, but you could have a different one. That is not a problem. If you have a really different idea, I don't know, like taking care of crocodiles or something like that, it's not a problem, okay? Okay. We have a project of the past year here that was made for Abdul Haseb, and it's a beach cleanup. Um, and this project had community education, so they say to the other people why the plastic in the seas and in the beach is bad for people, is bad for you, and everything. That have a little education part in the project. They spoke about solid waste management. So they say, okay, what is the contamination that we are going to attack in this beach cleanup? Okay, solid waste, plastic bottles, glass bottles, more plastic bottles and more plastic bottles because all the sea is really full of plastic bottles. So they focus in that kind of sense. In they, the main idea was attack the plastic bottles. But if you are going to include school groups and other people, you need to make it fun for volunteers. So you have an idea, for example, this beach cleanup, you need to have they um, motivate and you need to recruit them, have a little recruitation that need to be fun. Like, okay, we are going to spend a good time together doing this. You are not going to gain people for your project if you say, okay, we are going to beach cleanup and please stay quiet and please don't talk with your partners. You are not going to take any people with that. You need to be more like in movement with music, with good flyers for made a good amount of people working with you. So it's really not useful if you are not going to have an interest idea that motivate volunteers because you need volunteers if you have a project because in environmental issues we don't have too many money than is given to us for government or for people. So the most of the work in these programs are volunteer work. So you need to have something that say to the others, hey, my project is interesting, work with me. So in these days, social media is really important, not just for coordinate and for inviting other people to your ideas. It's important in the way that have you have to take a lot of pictures, videos to put in Instagram, in Facebook, in Snapchat, and in any other platforms that you have. Why? Because today the volunteer work, an important part of them is that people want to share in social media, like hashtag environmental or hashtag beach cleaning or everything. The people need that. Today, the millennials that are the most of people that is working with this uh, needs to be in social media, need to be noticed for their volunteer work. So if you have a project, the social media is really important. And the other is partnership with other organizations. So if you are a little organization or two or three people, and you say, okay, we are going to beach cleaning. But for example, you could go into the local radio to have a little commercial of this activity. So you need to have different partnerships. You need to real big cleaning. You need to pick up trucks or trucks to take away the garbage. So you need the other people. Please don't be that person then they think that are Superman. Like, okay, I could do everything by myself. That is not realistic, people. Okay, for heading starting, why we have this? Sorry, I don't know why we have this. No, no, it's there. Okay, when we have a project, as this project, then we are proposed to you, like beach cleaning or solid waste management or everything, then we expect you do or educational project, then we expect you prepare and maybe going to do during the time of the program. Um, we need to be clear of three things. When you have a project, you need to start saying, we need to start saying, where are we? So that means then if you are thinking in a project, for example, okay, I want to have a class, environmental classes for young people, for example, and you are thinking in a basic environmental class, but in your town, you already have basic environmental classes. So you are in an incorrect place because you are thinking, okay, I am going to have environmental class 101, but already exists in your town. You are in the incorrect place because you are not saying the reality, then where are we? So if in your town you have the environmental class 101, you need to have advanced, a little more advanced class. So where are we? The response is in the level 1. So you need to have, important, you need where are we? It's important for project planning. If you say, for example, I live in desert, so then is possible in the desert. So you're not going to say, I am going to recover a lake or a lagoon. No, man, you live in the desert. You need a project that is in the desert. So where we are is a place where we are, like where I live, and
Alvaro,
is where we are. Yeah.
do you mind if I hop in for this part?
Okay.
Yeah. So these three questions, where are we, where do we want to go, and how do we get there, come from a process called the Talanoa Dialogue that was used, or was first used at the Conference of the Party, the UN Climate Talks last year in Bonn, Germany. And the process comes from a traditional Fijian community meeting method where they have an open dialogue where everyone in the room is given equal standing to participate and give suggestions, and the hierarchy kind of falls apart, and everyone in the room is equally, their voice is equally respected. This process in other countries is also called an appreciative inquiry, and it's used as a, like I said, in Fiji as well, it's used as a means of gathering the kind of the pulse of the area where you're working and figuring out what needs to be done next. So where are we is, also a physical location, as Alvaro said, but it's also kind of like a stock take of where are we in terms of our goal? Where are we right now? What's our current status? And so if you are in a desert, and your project is for collecting water supplies because you're in a desert and you still need water because you're human, where are we might be, well, we have a reservoir with this many liters of water of storage, and the current capacity, or I'm sorry, the capacity is this many liters, and the current storage, the amount that it's filled, 75%. Or maybe it's a problem and it's only filled to like 20%. Well, if you only have 20% of your water storage in your reservoir, then you might have a problem with running out of water. So where do we want to go? We want to go towards, higher reserves of water. So that would mean, what does that mean? How do we get there? How do we increase the amount of water we have in our reservoir? Because we can't just, we can't make it rain. We can't control the weather. So how do we capture more water and how do we get there? We'll go into that. So your next question is, how do we achieve this goal that we set of where we want to go? So where you want to go, you're going to say, we want to get our reservoir full to 75% from 25%. That's a big leap. That's, tripling your water supply. So how do we get there? You'll want to discuss options like, we need to have an education campaign to reduce water consumption. We need to install more efficient appliances that will use less water. We should make sure that our landscape is sustainable and that we're not watering our lawns or flowers or, exterior areas very often, because that's just, a waste of water. So how can we increase recharge? So when it does rain, how do we make sure that we capture all that water and that it doesn't just, flood the streets and turn to mud and make a mess, but we can really harvest that water as it falls and collect it. And then finally, you could look at like environmental engineering techniques, like having a cloud net. I don't know if any of you have heard of that. I've seen them seen pictures of them in like Peru and Colombia, where they have mountainous areas that are very dry and arid, and they set up these nets that look almost like a billboard but made of netting, and it catches the moisture in the air as it passes through there because there's sufficient wind, and just that little bit of water in the air, of water vapor in the air, collects on this net, forms droplets, and then streams down through a gutter system into a cistern. And so that's another way that you could, in this hypothetical of where, how do we get there? That's another option for increasing your water supply or your water reservoir. So these 3 questions are extremely important in your planning process because you want to make sure that you plot out. It's like plotting out your map. So when you start on a journey, I think I talk about this in the homework assignment. When you start on a journey, you're going to pull up a map or Google Maps or whatever it is, and you're going to look at. You can't just like point at, okay, this is where I need to be. Like, let's go. It's on the north half of the map, so let's drive north. Well, if you're on the west side of the map, you don't need to go north. You need to go east. And so you need to plot out. So you need to start with where you are and then go to where you want to go so you can see, where they are in relation to each other, how difficult the terrain's going to be, and then you plot your path. So, well, it's snowing, so maybe I don't want to go through the mountain pass. Think about what sorts of challenges will affect, your route, and that's how you'll define how you get there. So then finally, be realistic but not pessimistic. You want to make sure that you're planning a project that you're capable of achieving within the resource that you have. So something like installing a water vapor capture system might be out of the budget for your project. I don't have numbers on how much that would cost, but start thinking as you're looking at how do we get there of, is this something that's feasible in the amount of time I have? I think the next homework assignment is going to be talking about SMART goals, which is, let's see if I remember. M is measurable, A is achievable, R is realistic, T is time, that you do within an adequate time frame. SMART goals. Let's see if they'll pull up for me. Specific. So it's specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound. So your goal has to be specific enough that you know if you made it or not. That it's something that is defined and other people understand. Measurable, meaning that there's a way to tell that you achieved it because you increase performance by 25%, or you reduce consumption by in 10 households. Things like that, where there's a number. In most cases, there's a number. Otherwise, there's some sort of qualitative measurement that has some level of accuracy. So you do a pre and post survey or test if you're doing an education project, things like that. Actionable. Trying to pull up a little more specifics on my end for that.
Okay, I put this image here for an idea. Okay, the main idea is sometimes we have projects that are not specific, and we have the idea that we need to do everything for the world. Like, I want to change all the world by myself. So that is not possible. So when you have a realistic goal, you put your part. So the guy or wherever you want here in yellow clothes or yellow color have just one piece. So your project maybe is little or medium or maybe it's big, but this one piece. But this one piece that you have in your project need to be specific. Why specific? Because if you are going to put in this bridge to reach the goal, if your project is not specific, it's not going to fit in the patch. So it's important that you have a specific project. But it's important that you are realistic, but not pessimist. So you are going to put a part in the big goal that is increase the world environmental issues in a good way. So it's important that for reach the goal, you are going to put a specific project, realistic one, that is going to fit in the patch for reach the goal. Why? If you are not specific, you are going to construct an utopia and you think that you are going to construct by yourself, and that is not possible. It's not possible that you made all the utopia by yourself, but maybe you are going to have a little part. Maybe you are one of the trees of this photograph that I'm showing to you. But that tree is important because with that tree, the forest is bigger. So it's important that when you have the general IAM of your project, that is the main idea, for example, beach cleaning, you need to be specific with the specific IAMs. That is, for example, okay, I'm going to do beach cleaning. That is your biggest idea. Later, you say, my general IAM is I am going to do beach cleaning in my city. A little more specific general IAM is when you say, I am going to do beach cleaning in my city, in the beach, call it some parts, I don't know. The dog beach, I don't know. So you have the place and your idea with a definition. The idea is already with a definition. That is the general IAM. You need to make a good definition of your idea. And the specific IAMs are going to be the necessary stuff for reach that goal. For example, okay, I'm going to beach cleaning in the dog beach in my city. I need people, I need gloves, I need education campaign like please don't leave your garbage when you are going to dog beach. Please leave with you, take with you to a garbage can. So the specific IAMs, they going to be very important because you need to thinking in every stuff that you need to do for reach the general IAM. So as Sarah says, you need to be specific is one of the most important stuff. You need to be specific because when you are not specific, the people doesn't understand you. And when you are not specific, you are just with a general idea, you lose too many parts of this. And for example, if you are not specific, you want to plant a tree, for example, in this forest, and you end with a flower because you don't put any attention on your specific project. So it's important then be really, really specific. And you need to build a team. So people, and people. When you have a project, you need people and you need to say, okay, what people I have? People you have is important. For example, I have me and my partner, for example, okay, we are two people. So we need to start a project that work for two people. But you need to say in another way, the other people, that is the people that you are targeting. For example, okay, we are two persons, so we are targeting 10 peoples, that is young people, and we are going to give them a talk about environmental issues in our city, for example. That is possible because it's two people giving a talk for 10 people. That is really, really possible. So people you have, people you are targeting. But if you have a biggest project, for example, okay, I want to have environmental issues in our city talks, but for 1,000 people, or targeting is 1,000 people. So you are going to say, okay, people, and the tier people is people that you need to add to your project. So you have people you have, that is you and your partner, in this case. People you are targeting, your city, little amount of people, for example, 10 or 20 or that kind of things. And in the tier part, you say people that you need to add. Okay, if I have an idea that need more people, I need to add people for my project than work with me. So where I find these people, how to recruit them for my project, that is important. That is why we already spoke about we need to have a fun project for the volunteers, for example. So you need to uh, do a really good measurement than how many people you need for your project. So be realistic in that way. So if you think that you are capable of have 5 people working with you, make a project that works with 5 people. If you think you could reach 10 people, 20, and every number, you need to say, okay, I need to have a project that work with that amount of people. So people you have, people you are targeting, and people you need to add if your project is bigger. Working efficiently and strategically. Okay, don't replicate this force. Please don't be the second one in beach cleaner, for example. That is the idea. This is the idea. Okay, a really big organization is going to clean your beloved dog beach in your city. That is my example, my anterior example. So if a biggest organization, for example, your city hall, is going to doing this beach cleaning in your beloved dog beach, going with them. Don't be the second one cleaning the beach because you want to have your own project. Please don't replicate the efforts. You are going to um, having the people not really happy with you, and with you don't have really happy volunteers, they don't work with you anymore. When they have a really good experience, they are going to work with you in the future. So never be the second one doing beach cleaner, please. That is important for efficiently, for efficiency. So if you are going, no, if you already have the project of cleaning the beach and you see, okay, this big organization is going to do the same, work with them. You could say for the other people in the other organization, hey man or hey woman or hey you, um, I see that you are doing a beach cleaning the next month, and I have the beach cleaning next month too. Work with, okay, let's go to work together, and you add your volunteers with the people of the other organization. That is important. Don't replicate this first. Don't be the second beach cleaner. The other one is learn from the authors. Okay, or sometimes we have really good ideas, or we have a problem and we don't find the idea. We don't find the solution. It's like, okay, I have a really big problem. For example, um, the example that Sarah did. Okay, we need more water in the desert, but I don't know how to collect water in the desert. And you spend a year thinking ideas how harvesting water in the desert. But no, we have already idea. We already have ideas for that. That are made for other people. They were made for other people. So we have the nets harvesting water that was invented in Chile and people using a lot in Chile, Peru, and Ecuador. So use them. Or we have a guy that invented a water harvesting mill in Peru that is really great because work with solar panels, and it's a mill that collect water from the fogs. So it's a really good idea. So the idea already exists. The ideas are already in the world. So if you have that problem, you learn from other people and you could have your problem solved. So when you have a problem, an environmental problem or other kind of problem in a project, made a little research. Maybe other people already have a solution and you just need to replicate. That is really important for an efficient work. Work strategically is important when you think in time of in the idea of where we have partners for working with this. What is my use of time, money, people? Um, you need to have good partners, and you need to have a good strategy for reach your goal with more in a faster way and in an easier way. So uh, look for good partnerships. That is really important. Um, for example, I already have did the example. Then okay, you are going to beach cleaning, other people is going to beach cleaning, so go together, partnerships. Don't be a lone wolf. Okay, a lone wolf die in a really easy way. But when the wolf is in a patch, they are almost invincibles. So do partnerships. Don't be always the guy that is going to say, okay, I need to do my own ORG. So maybe you could work with someone that already exists in your town. It's important in this point that you could work with others and you could work for others. Sometimes, in the millennial culture, then we are all millennials. Some people doesn't understand that don't need always be the leader of the organization, the new organization that is invented by yourself. Sometimes you have a good organization in your town, in your city, in your university. So be part of them. Work with others, work for others, uh, do good partnerships. That is important because if we don't do that, we waste efforts, we waste people, we waste materials, we waste resources. And people, we are environmentalist people, so you are not going to waste. You don't need to be the person that wastes other people, other ideas, the other time. So you need to be efficient and strategic. The last part of any project is to evaluate. What you evaluate the project I am. So if you say I am going to clean the dog beach in my city, in the final of your project, you need to say, okay, the dog beach in my city is really clean. I do that, or I did that, or I don't do that. So the project I am, you need to evaluate in percentage of success. For example, okay, I clean the 100% of the dog beach. Okay, I do a good work. I already complete my I am. So that is a perfect evaluation. Is the applause. You are really good. But maybe you already you have a plan to clean all the beach, but you just clean the half of them of the beach. So it's a good work, but it's not completing your I am. The evaluation um, works in terms of the evaluation say to you, okay, you don't do all the work, you could replicate other day. For example, if you have the half of work, do it, you do a second time, and you have all the work, do it. Because two halves, then is, so that is the necessary, that is why it's necessary to have an evaluation, because you need to be already realistic with your work. So the work was good, the work was bad. We have the 100% of success. We have a half of the success, or maybe you don't have any success, and it's important, yeah, that you accept that too. And if you pass for then a part that you don't have success, you need to be resilient. So you need to have the strength to say, okay, I don't reach this, but I am to having other project. I need to have I need to make change in this project to do it again. So it's important to evaluate your work, because when we don't evaluate, we could have two problems, principal problems. The first one is that you could be too optimistic, like, okay, this project was a really big success, and other people notice then it was not a big success. So you could be too optimistic. So that is too optimistic. And the other problem, the second problem, could be you are too pessimist. Like, okay, the work doesn't work well, the project was a failure, and you are going to be really depressed, like really depressed. But when you have an evaluation for other people, the other people say, man, or your project was really good. You reach the 80% of the beach, that was a lot. Maybe you have just 20% to do it in the future. So don't be really pessimist. But if you don't have the evaluation, you could be too pessimist about your project and say, okay, I don't reach any goal. You're very sad, and no, don't do that. Please, when you have a project, when you have a work already, always evaluate the project, because that is the only way to have a realistic and specific uh, results of your project with the evaluation. And the last idea is you need to share. So work with others, work with for others, be strategic and be efficient, and share with others your ideas. Sometimes we have really good ideas and others don't know that idea because you are taking for yourself. Maybe you have a really good idea and you are saving for yourself. Don't do that. Share your ideas with other people. When you have, for example, a really good project of, okay, we have a question we are going to solve in a little moment. Sorry. Um, when you are with a good idea, please share with other people, okay? Because um, it's important because we don't replicate the efforts when we share the ideas. Okay, we are going to have questions now. First question is, you say, who should evaluate our project? If I evaluate my project, it may not be of Jim from China. Okay. When we have an evaluation, the evaluation process that is important need to be objective, and you say you are not objective if you evaluate your own project. Okay. In evaluation, then is idea that is going from companies in education and in social work. You have a thing that is called a list of checking, a checking list. So when you have your IAM, your general IAM, and your specific IAMs, that is your list of checking. So how you evaluate? You evaluate your project with a checklist. You say, okay, okay, wait, sorry. Yeah. Okay, you have a checklist, and the checklist you confront with your specific IAMs. Okay, your specific IAMs and your checklist are the same or almost the same. So you say, for example, okay, the beach cleaning example. A specific IAM is have 100 people working with me in the beach cleaning. Have a complete day of work. For example, all the beach, all the dog beach clean for the program, for the project. You have the principal goal that is cleaning all the beach. So your checklist will be absolute. That is, okay, I reached the 100 people or no? Yes or no? Or could be, that is an absolute list. I reached the people, yes or no? I have the material, yes or no? And I have all the 100 of the beach, yes or no? Or could be by options or parts or what is the word? Is option parts or patch as part of the word. So for example, I reach the 100 people is an option. I reach 80 people is the second option. I reach 50 people is the other option, for example. I reach less than 50 people is the ultimate one. I have the 100% of the materials, I have 80% of the materials that, okay, I reach the 100% of the beach, I reach 80% of the beach, that is options. So that is the way that you evaluate. And that is an objective way to do it. You need to have a checklist that could be absolute or with options. And you made the count, but you evaluate from your IAMs, from your general IAM and for your specific IAMs, you evaluate. If you don't have the, for example, I don't have the objective of social media appearance, you are not going to evaluate the social media appearance. You need to evaluate your specific IAMs, and that is an objective way to do it. Any other questions?
I just wanted to add that your partner and your mentor are also there to help evaluate. So you'll write down the results that you saw, and then they can, the numerical numbers, we cleaned this much or we collected this many bags of trash, whatever it is, depending on your project. And then your mentor can say, well, I'm going to go back to your goals and your IAMs that you established at the beginning. And how does this project look relative to how you started? And then they can ask you questions, and that will all go into your kind of final report on your project. It's really important that you do a report or some sort of follow-up analysis, like Alvaro was saying, on every project you do, because then you have that documentation so that if you try and do it again, you can learn from your mistakes. And every time you'll do better and better.
Okay, that is important too. An evaluation produce results, and you could say, okay, that is the best way to clean a beach. So share with others. Okay, I think then this is the best way to have a real good beach cleaning. So you could have the project sharing with other people. Any other question, people? So you could speak, Susan. Susan, is she here? Susan, you could speak. You mute your microphone and speak with the question if you want. Okay.
Yes, every participant will host one webinar and conduct a project. So the webinar you're going to do with your partner. So it's really not as hard as it sounds. There's no reason to be intimidated or scared about it. You'd spend about 25 to 30 minutes talking, and that's really all you need. And then the rest of the time will be a discussion time. So if you want to prepare a couple discussion questions, you're welcome to. Otherwise, members from the audience, your peers, are going to be asking you questions about the process. So the webinar that you conduct, there's 3 different types. There's issues, solutions, and strategies. So issues will be talking about, drought, crop failure, deforestation, something like that, plastic pollution. Solutions will be talking about, how do you overcome those? So reforestation, or, zero waste, or implementing, you could talk about your project as well. So if your project is to install recycling bins around your community so that trash isn't left on the floor and that recycling is separated out, you could talk about that. That could be your webinar. And so the webinar is hopefully going to be based off knowledge you already have from your prior experience, from your project that you're coordinating, things like that. So it's the idea is that you're using what you know and sharing that knowledge with others so that they can learn from it. The last type of project or of webinar is strategies. So that's kind of what Alvaro was talking about today. Alvaro did a strategic webinar where he's teaching you how to plan your projects and project management, and leadership in projects. So that's the sort of thing that you can present on. If you're looking to pick up garbage, how are we going to evaluate how much garbage we've collected? You can either use a scale, so you can weigh it. Even like a luggage scale could work if you have one of the little portable ones to test if you're overweight, like I tend to be when I travel. You can use that to measure, the amount of garbage you collected in weight, or you can use it to, or you can, just count how many bags you collected, things like that, or how many streets you cleaned, how much the area you cleaned is also an option. And these are things that you can, those sorts of questions you can always ask to your partners or your mentors and have that discussion with them. Oh, Shreya, that's a good question. So, yeah, a lot of times there are other organizations who are working on the same issue, but maybe they're not being strategic about it. Maybe they're trying something that just isn't working. Maybe their goals aren't quite aligned, or maybe they're not, acting in alignment with their goals. So one thing that you can do is you can ask to join their organization and offer recommendations. You could ask to do almost like an audit of their work and find out where the holdup is that are keeping them from resolving their issues. I mean, obviously there's some issues that are never going to be completely solved. You're never going to clean up a beach and it just stay clean. I don't know if any of you have seen the first Incredibles movie, the Disney Pixar movie, and it starts with the interview with Mr. Incredible, and he's like, you save the world, and then like 2 days later, there's another disaster. I mean, why can't you just stay saved? That's pretty funny because, it's the same thing with, cleaning your room or environmental cleanup efforts. It's not going to stay clean. There's going to be more plastic washing in from the ocean, but that in combination with other tactics, so someone on the other side of the ocean, also know IE, who's working on reducing plastic consumption, could be helping. And so, in the long run, it will have a definite impact on the environment.
Okay, and the other stuff then for Shirja from Nepal. So when you have, you say, what if I want to work in the same stuff? We have an organization here, and I want to have an organization that do the same. We spoke about differentiation. That is, for example, why you want to have a second one? That is the first question. Why you want to have a second one? If you have one in your town, what do you want? Why you want to have a second one? And you could say, okay, just because I want. Okay, that is not a good answer. It's not, never is just because I want. But for example, you could say, okay, they just work with, for example, I don't know, military people. So my differentiation is I'm going to work with civil people, for example. That is a kind of a good answer. But as Sarah already said, you could with them and say, okay, you already work with military people. I have a proposition that we could work with civil people too. So going with them and have your ideas with them, and just if you don't have good answers, or if you don't have any response, and you really could see that your idea is important, you could have the second one. But if you don't try to work with them in any way, or try to give them your ideas to work with them, you are not going, you are not uh, doing a good work in sharing ideas. That is really important.
Oh, Mohammed, that's a um, great statement. Yes, partnering with industries that specialize in waste management is a great way to have a higher impact with your work. Because, I mean, when we work together, we can get so much more done. And Susan, yeah, a one-time trash pickup is not going to be is not going to have as strong an effect as a one-time trash pickup that includes an education piece where you talk with um, community members about why it's important that we don't litter, or you install a trash and recycling receptacle as well. Um, I saw a project that was done in Peru at a local school there, where they made trash cans and recycling bins out of plastic bottles. So they used plastic bottles and wire, and built a bin out of this structure. I think it was 2 or 3 bottles deep for the walls. And it was great because people knew exactly what was meant to go in there, because it's made of the materials that that it's supposed to receive. It's made of plastic bottles because the recycling bin. And so there are cost-effective ways to make a difference in the by installing a trash can or recycling bin. So those are things that you should consider with your project, and your mentor will help you with that. I think I saw one more question hiding in here. Oh, any suggestions for us to recruit more volunteers to join our project? From Sally. A suggestion that I have would be to talk to your classmates, talk to community members, go out and, get out the word about your project. So this is also a good way to network if you're looking to get a job in the next year or so, because you're graduating college and things like that. If you want to get a mentor in your community from an adult who's participating, you need to talk amongst yourself and your team about what sort of volunteers you're looking for. If you're going to be doing, a project where you're cutting down invasive trees that so that you can replant mangroves or something like that, you don't want to have 10-year-old volunteers, because they're not going to be able to handle the equipment. You don't want to give a 10-year-old a saw, perhaps, or a chainsaw. So look for a volunteer that's capable of the work that you need done. And then colleges and universities are a great place to go look for volunteers. There's always a student group that's wanting to go out. You can give presentations in their classrooms and talk to professors about, maybe give an extra credit for going out and doing a project like this. And then Susan also asked, do we have a format of reporting on our project? The homework assignments that we send out, which I was going to try and share, but my screen is frozen, unfortunately. The homework assignments are going to be the main formatting, where you're going to fill in the blanks, basically, for your reporting. But you're welcome to do just a write-up where you type up everything you learned from the project. Otherwise, you can use the very basic format that we'll send out as our homework assignment to report on it.
Okay, people, sorry, I need to go. I have something to do. So
Right.
you are stay with Sarah for the finalization of questions. Thank you for hearing me, and I hope to be helpful to you this time and in the future. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, Alvaro. All right, so the Ivy said so the project should be practical, and we better not choose theoretical research. A research project would fit the requirements of the project only if there's some sort of application. So if it's a research project where you begin a volunteer monitoring program for an environmental contaminant and you set up a process for that, you can, track that data. But we want you to be involving community members. Let's see if it'll let me share. Oh, maybe it will let me share now. All right. And I want to go here? No. Where was I looking to go? Here. Oh, come on. Don't freeze on me. So this is what why you have to do the project. You're trying to reduce carbon emissions and environmental impact. You're trying to gain real-world project management skills and trying to give back to the community to engage more people in environmental activism. So if your research project fits all three of these, any sort of project's really you're going to gain this real-world skills. But are you reducing carbon emissions or having some sort of environmental impact? Can the data you collect inform policy? And are you going to engage more people in environmental issues because of this project? Then you can do a research project. We hold the webinar with our partners. How about our projects? Your projects, you're probably going to brainstorm with your partner, but because you're in different communities, it'd be pretty tough to do them together. So if it happens that the two of you are both working on, an agriculture-based project, you can work together and structure your project similarly, and then it'd be really fun for your reporting to do a compare and contrast, where you talk about, well, we use similar methodology in both communities, but it worked here and didn't work here. And then something else worked in your community, but not in mine, even though the other one worked here. So why is that? So that's something you can do with your partners. Otherwise, you're just helping each other out, giving each other ideas, and helping to evaluate and make each other's better. You can partner with other OIE members that are in your country or city if you need to. So you can definitely use that as a means of working together with other OIE members. And then within your mentor groups, definitely talk and say, I'm sure your mentor will help you with this and say, hey, I heard, someone else in the group is also doing a project on that topic or similar to that topic. Let's connect you. And then the two of you can talk. So you're not going to, switch partners because of that. But the idea, then you'll just have another friend, another person to brainstorm with. So the whole idea of this online youth exchange program is that we can build off the knowledge that each other has, the experience that others have, to refine our methodology for having a greater environmental impact. So it's trying to lift up your knowledge of environmental issues, your skills to be able to implement, develop project management skills, things like that, and also that you're able to have a greater impact on your community. Did I miss any questions here? Are there any more questions? So you should all have received this homework assignment. So this is the reading. So here I talk a little bit about the Talanoa Manda, that where are we, where do you want to go, how do we get there? And it goes more here. There's a little case study about Ms. Reen and what she did at COP last year, using the Talanoa method to impact her community. And then I've got your homework assignment here, if it'll pull up. I'm clicking and it's not moving. I'm sorry. Here we go. So there's kind of a lot to read this time. So here's what I talked about with your roadmap. Again, where are where do you want to go? How do we get there? And then you're going to be going out and doing a stock take or a survey of your community members to find out, where are we and where do we want to go. You can take pictures, share those pictures with your mentors or in your group so that we can all, we're from so many different countries in the world. It's interesting to see what, the village center or the home life or the food and things like that look like in other countries. So share about your community, be proud of it, and tell us about where you're from and the best and the worst. We want to hear it all. We want to hear about the worst environmental issues that you're addressing there, as well as the best street food. I think I mentioned this on the first introduction webinar that my partner and I, when I was in Hawaii, my first year in this, I would just share recipes with my partner back and forth all the time because we both like to cook, and more importantly, we both like to eat. And so we got to share that piece of our culture with each other, and it was a really great way to connect. So find what it will take to connect with your partner and with your mentor and with your group. Share pictures, share recipes, share stories, and that's how we can learn from each other. So here's going into the, right here is your Talanoa process, your where are we, what's the problem that you're wanting to solve, where do we want to go, this is, measuring your goals, who would benefit, who's your target audience. So there's some really good questions here, and sorry, these are going into next week's homework. Sorry. Well, you got a nice little preview there. So that's all I have for you. I can't see if there are more questions. This computer's being so frustrating today. So if there are more questions, can someone turn on their mic and let me know about what I'm missing?
Actually, I don't think there are more questions as the participants are leaving.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I said, actually, I don't think there are more questions as I can see minority of the participants are leaving.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for letting me know. Then that's the end of our call. Thank you so much for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you on our next call.
Thank you very much.
That'll be next week on Friday, I believe, and we'll be talking about it's our next COP call. So our COP 101. This will be talking about a day in the life of a delegate. All right. Thank you
Yes,
so
all right.
much. Have a great rest of your day. Good afternoon or good evening or good morning, depending on where you are. And I'm not able to leave the call because of the frozen screen. So you're all welcome to drop off. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.